is on the road. Can you pick him up?
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, here we go.
Are you all right?
Yes.
It's a tractor ahead.
Don't slow down. Keep your speed. Great.
It's getting really steep now.
I'm too close to the ground. Faster, faster.
Okay.
Pick me up.
Are you good?
I'm fine. Okay, turn it ahead.
I got it.
Don't move, don't move. Okay, here we go. Faster, faster, take me up. Thanks for the ride.
Now, we are proud to introduce the most innovative lineup of features that the Euro 6 range has to offer right here tonight. Now, to take you through the range of customer benefits and the wonderful features of the Volvo Euro 6 range, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome Mr. Ian Sinclair, Product Management Director of Volvo Trucks International. Mr. Sinclair, please.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, or as we say in Sweden, välkommen. I'm here tonight to talk to you about Euro 6, but I think it's something that we should look back a bit on. Today we're talking about the current model Euro 6. This is part of the journey that has been going since 1993. In 1993, we introduced Euro 1 in Europe, and I thought it'd be good for us to look back and see what Volvo looked like in 1993. And there it was. The FH12 was also launched in 1993. And that was a truck that was way ahead of its time. In fact, that cab lived until 2014, when we replaced it with the current model. 1993, Euro 1 was very, very tough for the manufacturers to meet. It was the first time we really had to screw down the emissions of our trucks. And it took a long time to manage, and it cost a lot of money to do, of course. What we're talking about today is now Euro 6. So I've gone through Euro 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, now Euro 6. I want everybody to try and estimate for me, in terms of emissions, how many Euro 6 trucks is equal to a Euro 1 truck? Would it be 10, do you think? I don't see any heads shaking. Would it be 20 or 50 or 100? 200 perhaps? Actually, it's a lot of trucks. It's actually 570 Euro 6 trucks is equal to one Euro 1 truck in terms of NOx and particulates emissions. So that is a very, very long journey over the last 25 years. And I think that Volvo Trucks, you operators out there, and the rest of the industry as a whole, should be very proud of our performance in the way that we've reduced emission levels. And I don't think any other industry could rightly stand up and bang their chest as hard as we can, given the focus that we put on this and the success that we've had with it. what is even more impressive, actually, is that in that 25 years, we've reduced the average fuel consumption by 15%. So not only have we lowered emissions, we've also become more efficient with the way we use the fuel. And then if we think about that in regard to emission output, that figure should be more like 700 trucks. So I think when we sit here and we think, oh, not another emission level, actually the effect that we're having on the environment, it's been marked, and it's a huge effect. So I was thinking, when I put this presentation together, I was thinking it wasn't so long ago I was here with you before. We were over at Sentosa, if you remember, introducing Euro 5. But when we see these sorts of figures, we realise that actually what we're doing really is worthwhile. So, that said, what is the difference between Euro 5 and Euro 6? And actually, as you look at the truck from the outside, as you have done on your way in tonight, you see not much cosmetically. The real change is in the engine and the exhaust. If we look at the engine, actually it's the same base engine, so it still looks the same. So we haven't deviated so much there. We've got a new designed piston, which runs a bit cooler. We've got a small amount of EGR, which helps us limit the NOx. We've got a common rail fuel injection system. We've gone away from the unit injectors that we had before. A common rail injection system just allows us to control the fuel a little bit with a little bit more accuracy than the unit injector, because it's not pressurising the fuel, it's only controlling the fuel flow. It also runs a little bit quieter than the unit injectors. And the new engines, we've moved the operating rev range down by 100 RPM. So now we're getting full torque at 900 RPM. So just above idle, we're ready to start working. And as you know, low revving engines, they make less noise, they run longer without having to be serviced, and they use less fuel. So we're continuing this trend of bringing the rev range down as much as possible. And the other good news is, I'm talking about, we've got a 13-litre engine here, but our complete engine range is available in Euro 6. So that means our complete range, our FLs and our FEs in the medium and medium heavy duty, the FM and FMX and the FH, all are ready, Euro 6 ready and available for sale here in Singapore. Olivier just touched on the fact that we've been building Euro 6 for quite some time. In fact, we have 140,000 trucks on the road today. So that's good news for you. Those little teething problems have been built out, and it's with a measure of pride that I can say that we have never been so successful in the marketplace where we're operating Euro 6. When we're looking at Europe, Turkey, Korea, Hong Kong, and now Singapore, but our current market shares are higher than they have been previously with this product range. I was thinking the other day, actually, in our two factories in Europe, we're building approximately 350 trucks a day. Such is the demand for our trucks. And the feedback that we get from our customers is, yes, there's a little bit more to do with the Euro 6, but overall it's had very little impact on their business. It's a bit scary when they first get the trucks, but they've worked along with it, and now it's just a regular thing for them. There's no big impact on the business at large, which again is good news for you. In terms of fuel efficiency, of course we've got these low revving, high torque engines. So we're operating very low in the rev range. We're impressing on the drivers to stay off the pedal. You don't have to be on the pedal so hard because the truck gets moving much lower in the rev range than it did before. When we couple these engines with I-shift transmission, then we can really see some good fuel figures. The I-Shift transmission is the most advanced and most successful automated transmission on the market today. And that's not my words, that's the words of most of the automotive writers who are operating or who are writing about our transmission. It's so successful that I-Shift is now 95% of total vehicle sales for Volvo trucks. It's so successful that mid-next year, we will discontinue manual gearboxes altogether. So that's the sort of confidence that we have in this transmission. It ensures that the driver is always operating in the most economic rev range of the engine. It's always in that green band, and that's where each change is taking place. It's easy for the driver to drive the truck in a fuel-efficient manner, and I think that's the important thing. The driver is very important when it comes to the truck. If we can make it easier for him to drive the truck in that green band, then we're going to see good figures. Added to that, with Euro 6, we're introducing the I-Shift with dual clutch. This is the most comfortable, smoothest changing transmission ever built. Believe me. I like to think it's like driving a golf buggy. You want to go faster, you just put your foot down on the accelerator and you barely feel the engine, the gears changing. So if you get a chance to try it, try it. Once you try it, you'll buy it. Believe me. It is a fantastic transmission. The other good news is that for Euro 6, in the FE range, we have the I-Shift available. So for those previously those applications where we've used Allison transmission, for example, now we have the possibility of the automated transmission, so the I-Shift, which saves on fuel and maintenance and all those other good things. Plus, you're buying a bulk transmission, a transmission that's available worldwide. I mentioned that the driver was very important, and it is more so with these new Euro 6 trucks, because we need to impress on them to operate the truck in the manner that it's been manufactured, and that is low in the rev range. And we have a full suite of driver training courses that we can offer. Of course, there is the vehicle handover and vehicle familiarisation that we do with every new vehicle, and that does have an element of driver instruction included in that. But we also have courses available to promote safety, to promote fuel-efficient driving, and we're even going to have a tailored course for heavy haulage. So if you've got a particular application where you're doing above 100-tonne haulage, we'll have a course available for that as well. And if there's a need, we can develop something that suits your business, because it's in our best interest and your best interest that the truck is operated in the manner it was intended. That is the way to guarantee low fuel consumption, good uptime, and good resale value. Driver development, it's the key to the most efficient business. And when we talk about business efficiency, do we really know how we perform? How do our drivers perform? How are the trucks performing for you? With Volvo Dynafleet, which is our telematics system, it's a fleet management system, you are able to look at the behaviour of the driver, how he's driving. Is he driving in the rev range? Is he using automatic or manual on the I-Shift? Is he idling too much? Is he using the brake? Is he over-braking? All of this can be tracked in Dynafleet, as well as for the truck. We're tracking fuel consumption, engine hours, we're tracking location, we can even track the load. This is the best way to keep a handle on how your fleet is functioning. And in this day and age where margins are small, the more vigilant you are about the performance of your trucks and your drivers, that's more money in your pocket. So believe me, if you're not using Dynafleet, give it a look. It also has included as an option a driver coaching function, so the driver can be coached as he's driving. So, Volvo Dynafleet. There is a customer of ours in Germany Actually, I say of ours, they run a mixed fleet of about 500 or 600 trucks. When Euro 6 came out in Germany, this customer called Fehrenkotter, they purchased one truck from every manufacturer. All the trucks were similar specifications, and they ran the trucks for 2.5 years. And they ran them up to about 320,000 kilometres. At the end of that 2.5 years, they sat down and they did the transport calculation. They looked at fuel consumption. They looked at service costing. They looked at resale values. They looked at uptime percentage. And I'm happy and proud to tell you that the truck that by far and away was the most successful in that test was the Volvo truck. We had the lowest fuel consumption. We had the lowest parts costing. We had the best uptime, and we had the best resale value. You don't have to take my word for it because it wasn't something we ran. It's an independent test. If you take a note of the name there, you can Google it and get the whole report. Or there's also a film that they've made, the company's made themselves, on YouTube. But this is one thing that really boosted our confidence with Euro 6 to know that we were still maintaining a lead over our competitors. A little glimpse into the future here. There'll be a few glimpses into the future tonight, some from me and some from Hader. This is a tandem axle lift where we actually lift the drive axle. So we have a 6x4 or an 8x4. When the truck is loaded, we're using both drive axles. When the truck is unloaded, we have the ability to lift that axle. We have a clutch that stops driving it, and then it's lifted by the suspension. If you're operating 6x4s or 8x4s, this is a very, very important function because it's going to save, of course, on tyre wear, but also saves on fuel consumption because you're not dragging and driving another axle. Even when you're empty, you're still using fuel. So we've experienced between 3 and 5% fuel savings, depending on the application. So coming soon, speak to your salesman about it, and it'll be here very shortly. Of course, at Volvo, safety is one of our core values. I always say Volvo is safety, and safety is Volvo. And these new trucks we're introducing are no different.
As technology
Just have a
becomes
look at
more
the
and
film
more
here for a second.
advanced, the possibilities to provide active safety systems that save more lives increases. The definition of active safety is systems that use an understanding of the state of the vehicle to both avoid and minimise the effects of a collision. From November the 1st, 2015, systems for collision warning with emergency brake and lane keeping support became a legal requirement on all heavy vehicles in the European Union. Volvo Trucks collision warning with emergency brake alerts the driver in the event of the risk of a collision using the sensory fusion system. This links communication between cameras, radar and other technologies. Lane keeping support helps drivers to hold the correct position on the road, while lane change support assists the driver in making safer lane changes on the passenger side. These are just some of the innovations that maintain Volvo Trucks' leadership and commitment to one of our core values, safety.
So the three main elements in that film, the emergency braking, the lane keeping support and the lane change support are all available on Volvo's Euro 6 trucks. So if we think about that the emergency braking works down to 15 kilometres an hour, you don't have to avoid too many accidents for that to pay for itself over and over and over again. And I know that it's been very popular already here in Singapore, but please consider that with your upcoming purchases. Of course, we also have available adaptive cruise control, driver alert support, which measures how the driver is driving. If he's driving in an erratic manner or he's not keeping the lane properly, if he's oversteering, there'll be a warning come up on the dashboard that he should take a rest because he's obviously fatigued. And if he doesn't, then it'll start flashing up that you need to pull over and stop the truck. Of course, we have disc brakes fitted on most of our offer today. Disc brakes, of course, give us a much shorter stopping distance compared to the drum brakes. We have ESP, the Electronic Stability Program, which works to stop the trailer from rolling over. It brakes different axles on both the trailer and the truck to ensure that the side forces are limited, so we limit the chances of rollover. And stretch brake, it's a new function we introduced not so long ago, and that allows the driver to just feather the brake on the trailer so he can stretch out the combination if it starts to jackknife. So he's able to brake the trailer, straighten it up. Once again, we have driver training or driver development courses to help them operate all this safety equipment. So if the worst happens, if there is an accident, we still have inbuilt passive safety features of Volvo trucks. Of course, the driver's airbag that we have available. We have front underrun protection, which stops the truck from running over the top of cars. It pushes them along instead. But also it means that the cars don't get underneath the truck and take out the steering. In the past, we've had you see a lot of accidents where the driver can no longer control the truck because the steering loses its integrity. But if he can stay in control of the truck, then he stops it from causing even more damage. We have high-strength steel cab. We have the strongest cab in the world. Believe me, because we meet the European test, but we go far, far beyond that with our own internal testing. Nobody does the testing that we do. We have the strongest cab. We have an energy-absorbent cab interior. Years ago, we found that truck drivers, particularly their knees, got terribly damaged in accidents. So we started using a material called Kevlar, which is what they use in bulletproof vests. It's an impact-absorbent material, and we line the front of the dashboard with that. So when the driver has an accident, the impact is absorbed by this Kevlar material and limits the injuries that are done to the driver. And of course, the oh, pardon me. It's the air conditioning. We don't have so much air conditioning in Sweden. It's a bit odd for me. The three-point seatbelt was developed by Volvo in the 50s and 1960s. And instead of patenting it and making a fortune of it, we decided to give it to the industry because we realised at that time what a lifesaver that this was. And we didn't want any excuse for the industry not to put it in all the cars and trucks that were available. And today I think it's been a great decision for many, many people around the world who've been saved by the three-point seatbelt. In terms of productivity, we have a couple of new offers. We have increased front axle loading on our steering axles. So both the steering axles on the front and if you have a steering axle at the rear of the truck, they're moving from 9 tonne up to 10 tonne possibility. So there's a possibility of a tonne extra loading. There's no extra weight in those, it's just strength. So actually it's 10 tonne extra payload, or 1 tonne extra payload that we're getting. We also now have available ex-factory 5-axle trucks in both 10x4 and 10x6 configuration. Now these trucks are available with a gross vehicle weight up to 56 tonne. What we've got here is we can have actually air suspension on the front and on the rear. So it's possible to be able to lift the whole truck to a set level that you want. These trucks have been very popular in Hong Kong, actually, for delivering long steel material to building sites where they have a crane on the front, and then they can pick it up and still have enough room to get 9 metres or whatever it is, the length of the steel, pick it up and put it on. Other applications include things like concrete pumpers, retriever trucks where we've had to, they put a large body on to be able to tow other trucks around. So if you've got a specific application where you need a high gross vehicle weight and good stability, 5-axle trucks, ex-factory, they're a model in the Volvo system, full service. Once again, full driver training if we need it. drivability. I guess everybody remembers Charlie, this little fella, the truck driving hamster. Volvo dynamic steering has been available for a little while, but I can let you in on another small secret is that during the next year we're going to see some more innovations with Volvo dynamic steering, particularly involved in the lane change function where we have the light and the buzzer flashing, but also there'll be some feedback in the steering wheel, so the driver will know that if there's a car in the blind spot, he'll be able to feel it in the steering wheel. And over the years, we will see more feedback coming from the steering wheel. The steering wheel will be talking to the driver, letting him know what's happening in the truck.
Volvo Dynamic Steering is yet another world-class technical innovation from Volvo Trucks. Effortless and precise, it improves safety while reducing the risk of occupational injury. At low speeds, the electric motor takes over the work from the driver's muscles. Instead, the driver can relax and steer without having to strain shoulders and arms. Another benefit is that Volvo Dynamic Steering centers automatically when reversing. Irregular road surfaces are dampened and stabilized. Steeply cambered roads or side winds are quickly detected by the self-learning system. This automatically compensates so the driver can steer straight ahead without having to tug the steering wheel to counter any sideways movement. Volvo Dynamic Steering means improved road safety and increased driver comfort.
Now, I think that particularly in an urban area where there's a lot of manoeuvring to be done, that if we can make that easier for the driver, then he's going to be more attentive about where he's putting the truck, how he's moving the truck around. He's going to be more productive. He's going to be driving safer. So I think if there's something that really lends itself to Singapore, it's something that makes it easier to steer the truck and manoeuvre the truck. So Volvo Dynamic Steering. Uptime. We heard Olivier talking about uptime before because that is a direct cost or profit area for your companies. What can we do to increase uptime? Well, initially we've got a system called service planning where we look at the specification of the truck, the application, the operation, the utilisation, and we calculate the best service planning for you. And then we can schedule those servicing in so that you're able to take the truck off the road at a time that's most convenient for you. It's all about forward planning. And we can start that from day one, from the day you take delivery of the truck. So of course, if you've got the truck planned, you want to know that what we're doing to it is going to be beneficial. The only way that we can guarantee that your truck is going to be behaving or operating the same manner it was when it left the factory is by using Volvo genuine parts, Volvo quality parts. They're tested, they're guaranteed, they fit, and so we stress this fact to all of our customers that even if we're not fitting the parts, please use Volvo genuine parts because that is the best way to guarantee your truck is going to operate, behave and last like a real Volvo truck should. And of course here in Singapore, we've got the regional warehouse which supplies parts all over Southeast Asia. It's got over 100,000 line items in stock. So we've got good quality parts available for you. Another little glimpse into the future here is that we're going to be able to have a predictive maintenance on each truck. We will be able to talk to the truck and ask it how it's feeling. How's your clutch? How are your batteries? How's the air dryer? How are your other filters? And then we can predict when we'll need to replace those items. Once again, we can schedule something for you at a time that's most convenient for you to bring the truck in. So predictive maintenance, we'll be doing that from the workshop. We can talk to the trucks while they're operating. Driving progress is our promise, and this has been our promise since 1928 when Volvo Trucks started. And what does driving progress mean? I guess if you you'll be listening to Hayder in a minute, and he's going to talk about what's coming in the future. While he's talking, think about what I've been saying. Think about the emergency braking system, which stops the truck automatically. Think about Volvo dynamic steering, which is now communicating with the driver. And now the other functions on the truck are talking to the dynamic steering, saying, we need to do something here. I think you can understand where we're headed here, that we've got all these functions on the truck. We've got the function which is keeping the truck in the lane, or advising the driver to keep the truck in the lane. Not much of a leap that that's going to start talking to the dynamic steering and the truck's going to be keeping itself in the lane. That's what we're talking about driving progress. We want to be at the forefront of the industry, because we want you, our customers, to be at the forefront of the industry, because we know that's where you want to be as well. So I thank you for tonight. Thank you for listening to me. And after, we'll be out standing by the trucks if you have any more questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sinclair.